Hello, everybody. My name is Scotty Carlisle, and today we have Eddie Montoya. And Eddie is a vet, and he has been doing a lot of things for the community. So I wanted to get him on the podcast to talk to him about the things that he's doing, what he has in store for the future, and maybe we can glean some insight from his experience, which propelled him to the things that he does now. So, without further ado, Eddie, would you like to introduce yourself and tell us what you do and why you do it? Actually, what do you do?
So my name is Eddie Montoya. A lot of people around here call me Doc. I'm a retired Army medic. Did 16 years before they finally pushed me out and said no more. Um, I got into drugs and alcohol after I got out, and I got in pretty deep. Um, from the moment I woke up, I was drinking until the time I passed out, whichever time that would be. Sometimes I'd come home, sometimes I wouldn't. I was married, but married with kids, and they were at a point where they just said, I can't take this anymore. My kids and my wife just saying, hey, we're going to leave. We can't do this. You're wasting your life away, but you're also taking us down with you. So that was difficult to swallow. I I continued to drink for a good little while. Um, and going to the bar and drinking led to other recreational activities. Um, Started out with cocaine. When I didn't have the money for that anymore, the next best thing would be meth. So I really didn't get hooked too much on those things. It was mainly the alcohol, and I think it was a way for me to drown out everything that I had seen, during combat. Again, I was a medic, so you can only imagine the things that I witnessed. Um, During my last 2 months of drinking, I ended up in the hospital 3 different times. Uh, First time was my liver; it just wasn't acting right, and I ended up in the hospital. I don't know, close to a week. Second time, I it was 2 weeks later. I just didn't want to drink anymore. I was tired. I was letting my family down. My body's feeling beat up, and I found myself crying in the parking lot of the bar. One of many of my local establishments, but just crying, and who do I reach out to? I figured, okay, well, maybe I'll call the VA crisis line. Maybe they can help me out, just kind of tell me it's going to be okay. Um, that call was unsuccessful. And after 3 different calls being unsuccessful, I decided, you know what? You still have the strength. Go to the VA. They have an on call psych. Maybe somebody could just talk to you. I went to the ER, told them everything. Hey, I'm not homicidal. I'm not suicidal. I just don't want to drink. Just let me talk to your psych and tell them, or have them tell me everything's going to be okay. Um, I just needed some guidance. I didn't know how to stop. I couldn't stop. They they ended up putting me in psych for 3 days on a psych hold. Um, I told them repeatedly, I don't belong here. I just don't want to drink. Help me stop drinking. I still didn't stop drinking. 2 weeks later, my pancreas failed, and so I was in that time for another week and a half, 2 weeks. They had me on Dilaudid the entire time, so pretty much comatose.
Mm.
Um, Doctor told me, hey, we don't think you're going to make it out of this one. You know, it's time to start talking to your family.
Oh, wow.
That was a scary moment, and you would have thought I would have learned, and I didn't. Um, we're leaving the hospital after a couple of weeks, and I tell my wife, I said, hey, pull over and grab me some beer real quick. She pulled over, but she didn't pull into a liquor store. She pulled over and said, "Are you kidding me? We just been sitting over your bed with the doctor telling us that you're probably not going to make it this time. So I'll stop and get you some beer. But when we get home, me and the kids, we're all leaving. And I was like, oh man, oh crap, what do I do now? And I thought to myself, and this is all within a couple of minute time span, and I said, I haven't been this sober in a really, really long time. I could do it. And so today I sit here 7.5 years sober.
Wow.
7.5 years. And I'll tell you, it's still not easy. I've learned to cope and I've learned to deal with it. But when I'm with friends and family, they're having a drink, they're having a beer. I want a beer. I want a drink. I want to have a social glass of wine with my wife. I can't. And I think that's because of the fear that I have that I'll go right back to that same exact spot that I was in. And I don't want that. It's dark. It's scary. It's lonely.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, after I did that, I guess during my drunk times, me and some of my buddies from my previous unit that we went to combat with, we had been talking during drunk nights, over telephone or chatting on Facebook or something. Let's walk across country. And I forgot about that. So I get a phone call. Hey, Doc, we'll be out there in California. You ready to go? Ready for what? What are we doing? We're walking across country, remember? Oh, crap. Damn. So now I got to tell my wife, hey, I'm going to be gone 6 months. What?
6 months. She probably didn't take that real well.
No. But she was okay. She knew that I was on a path and I was on a journey to trying to heal. Trying to become a better person, trying to become a better version of me. And she knew that. So the deal I made with them, I said, hey, I'm not going to be able to go the entire distance because I still have obligations here. And I haven't made the plans to cut off 6 months of my life. So I said, look, I'll walk through, from Santa Monica Pier, through California, and then I'll just meet up with you guys, along the way. So that's pretty much what I did. So when we finish in Washington, D.C., we started at Santa Monica Pier, kind of like Forrest Gump. Kind of like Forrest Gump.
Yeah.
And pretty much what we were trying to do is we were trying to find the America that we fought for. That was during the political climate when, at the beginning of the political climate when veterans were racists and bigots and, all those other words. And, we're just saying, no, we're not. What's going on? Why does everybody hate us? So we wanted to find the America that we had fought for. So from the start of our journey off that pier, people started donating cases of water. Here's $300 for a room stay. Here's some money for a campground stay. And it just kept on going. So by the time we were done, we had some money saved up from all of this,
Donations?
giving from the communities in different states. And I told my guys, I said, hey, so what are we going to do with the money? Are we just going to redonate it to, another nonprofit that's doing stuff for veterans? No, Doc, we were talking. We want you to start a nonprofit. Huh. I don't know how to do that. So what are we going to do it for? Well, we want to do it for veteran suicide. And to myself, I thought, that's such a broad, it's such a broad subject, veteran suicide. But for what? So a week before we set foot in Santa Monica, one of the guys who was supposed to go with us, he ended up becoming a statistic and taking his own life. So every day on the schedule, on the calendar, we'd see his name, and that kind of really messed us up. So I want to say we were around the Pomona area. We took Route 66 all the way through, and then cut across the United States in the middle. He ended up committing suicide. We see his name, kind of messed us up. We decide to go to a Kinko's, get a big picture blown up of him, put it right by the calendar, and we're doing this walk for you.
That's
You know,
cool.
now we're doing this walk for you. And so veteran suicide was the topic, the subject. I did what I could to get things started. Got my 501c3, you know, all of the things that come with creating a nonprofit.
Mm-hmm.
But now what? I've created this, but what am I gonna do? Okay, well, I got to get the name out. I'm already, you know, well known in the veteran community. I volunteer a lot in the veteran community and I'm very active. So they know me, but they don't know the organization. So I do many events trying to get this organization going. What are you going to do? I don't know. We're going to, you know, help veterans. But what are you going to do to help veterans? We're going to help them reintegrate. But how? We're going to, and I just didn't know. I couldn't pinpoint what I was going to do. So after about 3 years of taking, you know, donations and, you know, money from different people within the community, I decided to take a year off and step back and figure this out. And in order to figure out the nonprofit portion, I needed to figure out myself. What am I going to do myself? I need to invest in me. So during that time, I got my degree. I got certified as a certified peer support, um, certified in drug and alcohol recovery, suicide intervention, and then things started to come together. Now I know what I'm going to do. And it's all along the lines of veteran suicide. During that time, I ended up finding an organization, a service dog organization, and I found that with Working Dogs for Warriors. Now, on my way to finding a service dog organization, I went through many different organizations in Florida, Tennessee, Montana. Different states had organizations that they're willing to get me a service dog, but a lot of organizations, they want money. So they would say, okay, well, the cost is $45,000. You pay us. We fly you out for 2 weeks. We train you to your already trained service dog. Just a disabled veteran. I don't have that kind of money.
Wow.
So I kept on looking. And I found Working Dogs for Warriors. And it just so happens they're only 7 minutes away from my house. So it's perfect.
Oh, wow.
Found them, submitted an application. I get a call within a couple of days. Hey, we'd like you to come check us out. That's awesome. I would love to come check you out. Because at this time, I was already sober. And I thought being sober was going to be the cure-all, fix-all to my own mental health. And I had been telling my wife, I still don't feel good. Go to the VA. I don't want to go to the VA anymore. I've done therapy. I've done all these medications. I need something more. And I can't figure it out, but I don't feel good. You know, in my head, I don't feel good. You need a service dog. I have dogs. What is a service dog going to do that my dogs can't do? I love them,
Yeah, good point.
but what is this another dog going to do for me? I don't know, let's try it. And I was kind of at my wit's end, and I said, you know what, let's do it. Let's do it. So I went and I met with Mike Welsh with Working Dogs for Warriors, and they welcomed me in and they said, hey, we're different than any other service dog organization. We want to bring you in and we want you to be part of our family. We're not just going to train you for a dog and say, see ya. We want to bring you in to build a family of handlers and service dogs. Huh. I like that. I like that. And I think reason I liked it was because it kind of gave me the sense of togetherness, like military again. You know, the sense of,
Esprit de corps.
right, now we're together again. Now we fight this battle as a unit instead of you fighting this battle alone. And I really like that concept. So now I've been with them for about 3 years. I have my service dog Sly. I don't know if you could see him. He's down here sleeping. But I got my dog when he was about 8 weeks old, and we waited till he got his shots and everything was ready to go. And he's been training now since he was 6 months. He's trained in, you know, many different things, but one of the biggest things he's trained to do is he detects my PTSD. So he can smell my PTSD
What?
before I feel it. And he will let me know, hey, we got to go. We got to get out of this packed shopping center. We got to, I got to get you out of this room because you're eating yourself up. Hey, here's my toy. Play with me. Now, along the same lines, when he senses it, if he can smell it, he turns around and looks at me, and he wants to know if I'm doing any of these signs, the anxiety type signs, picking your nail, biting your nails, shaking your leg, hands covering my face. He wants to see that, and if he sees it, it's an automatic distress to him, and he interrupts it all. He'll come and he'll just lick my face. He'll jump on me. Gets me out of that thought process that I'm going through and just puts all my focus on him. So that's one of the biggest things that he does for me.
Wow.
So now I have this organization and I have a service dog, and Mike and Daisy with Working Dogs for Warriors, they said, Doc, you have these skills. You have your organization. Let's get you out there. You can do this. You're in a great spot now, and you're helping a lot of different veterans. Let's get you out there and get your face going so we can boost you up. And so with that, this past year, I really hit it hard. Because they're right. I have been helping a lot of veterans, and it's all selfless. I don't get paid for it. Nothing comes back to me. And they said, let's do this through your organization. Let's really build you so we can build more of you. Because right now I'm kind of like a one-man band. I have others, who help out. But I'm essentially one person that does all of this, does the peer support, and again, I have others who help out a whole lot. So I don't want to take all that credit, but I need to get others trained to my level, as far as the suicide intervention, the drug and alcohol recovery, the peer support status. And so I pushed real hard, doing events. I started a couple of different peer support groups. COVID hit. I started an online peer support group. Actually, I have two of them that are still running today. Even though COVID passed, they want to continue because it's really helping them out. And I think that's really awesome. just being able to be myself and at the same time helping others. Um, and helping others just being myself is such a it's so great to be able to do that. Not many people can do that, and it's kind of like they say, if you do what you love, is it really considered work? No, I'm not working. I do what I love every day, and I don't consider it work. I get phone calls, in the middle of the night, a crisis call. So what? I lose sleep. I'm still doing what I love. And that's the best part of what I do. Um, my job or my work or whatever you want to call it. I don't consider it work because I love to do what I do. Um, so now we're at a point to where my organization, Brotherhood Bridge Foundation, where I can offer one-on-one peer support services. I have a couple of different physical peer support groups.
Give me an example of peer support. What would you do for a peer support?
As a peer support, you're kind of just you're there for that person. You're not a therapist by any means. I don't have that education. I don't have what it takes to be a therapist at this point in time. Maybe sometime in the future, but right now, a peer support is pretty much someone who's been there, done that too. Um, I've been an alcoholic. I've been an addict. I've been blown up. I've been to combat. Um, I've been almost homeless. I've been a lot of different things. So being able to talk about it to others that are still struggling with those different types of daily struggles, I think that's the biggest part. Is I've been there too. I've been there too, and you're hearing it from someone who has also been down that same path and not just read it out of a book or
Right.
took a test one time, um, or somebody that's part of the government,
Right.
the VA, your agency, your department that you're part of. I'm just a third party. I don't know you, but I've been there too. Let's talk about it. I'm that ear. I can walk the walk with you. I can, walk this journey. I can't give you the I can't make you do anything, but I can walk the walk with you. I can stand shoulder to shoulder with you and tell you what I did to help myself. Can't tell you how to do it. I can help give you the tools. You're going to have to do it yourself. But I want to walk that walk with you. It doesn't have to be a journey that's walked alone. And the reason I enjoy that is because I essentially did walk it alone. Yeah, I did have support. I had my wife, and I had people that attempted to guide me, but I essentially walked it alone. And I just want others to know you don't have to. You don't have to walk alone. You have somebody here and willing just to help you out. Um, so, like I said, I am certified peer support. I've done my drug and alcohol recovery, suicide intervention, and soon next month I will be trained to instruct the suicide intervention, the assist course. So I will be an assist trainer.
And what exactly does that mean?
So an assist trainer, it's applied suicide intervention skills and techniques.
So basically, if somebody calls because they're having oh shit, I'm sick of this, I want to check out, you basically are instructed in ways of talking them down off the ledge.
Right, right. Letting them know that they're worth it. You're worth it. Your time here doesn't have to be over. And a lot of times, there's alcohol involved, sometimes a firearm, and that gets pretty scary sometimes. But we got to help our men and women out. They some of them survived combat, some of them survived other traumas. not to come home and end it this way. Doesn't need to. You have somebody here that's willing to help you out. But back on the assist, next month I will be trained and certified to instruct that course. So that's a big plus for me.
Wow, that's cool. I there's also something that I know is prevalent that you haven't mentioned as far as mental health, as far as diagnoses of schizophrenia or bipolar disorder or any of those things. And I know it's a real big problem when it comes to, let's say, the homeless population. People look at homeless, and you have really where I've noticed you have I'm just gonna call them bleeding hearts. I'm not saying that's bad, but they see somebody hurting and it it really bothers them, and they stand up and they speak out, and they it gets aggravated. And then you have other people that have experienced homelessness near them, and they're pissed off at people that are homeless because, for example, this person that was homeless defecated in their backyard, or that kind of stuff. So they're pissed that would happen to them, and they can't see past that. And so whenever they see somebody homeless, that's what they're automatic, like, wow, they pooped in my yard. And then this other person is like, oh my God, they can't see. And so there's a big, it's a very hard to agree with those two different, ends of the spectrum. But I don't think that mental health is talked about enough, because sometimes I feel like there are a lot of people that are homeless because of mental health, and then mental health basically pushes them in directions of alcohol, and where and I'm not saying that they get a free pass of responsibility, but at the same time, how, if somebody is on a good one where they're like, let's say, bipolar, manic depressive, pissed off, angry, how, and do you ask them, do they have a history of mental health, or do you get into that at all, or?
Sometimes I will. I try to stay clear of it unless they initiate that. Because I am not a medical or a mental health professional, if you will. I'm not a therapist. I can't diagnose. I can only speculate. But if it's introduced to me, I do have bipolar, or if they display signs, hey, do you have any mental health history? I may ask something like that, but I try to stay away from it unless it's brought to my attention. But again, I'm not a therapist. I'm not a doctor.
Right.
So I kind of want to stay away from that until it's presented to me.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to feel like I'm being intrusive, because now I sound like them at the VA.
Yeah. Right.
And not to say that the people at the VA are necessarily doing bad things, or that they're all bad. But I want to gain the trust of the individual. And a lot of people don't have trust in the VA. They've had a bad deal with a doctor. Or doctors.
Yeah.
So I don't want to give them the impression that I'm trying to pry. So I need that information to be presented to me first.
The reason I asked, my little sister, she's had a history of issues, and these issues that we're talking about definitely transcend just vets, right? It's very prevalent in vets, but there are a lot of people, anybody that's lived for more than 25 years, they've had some shit happen to them at some point in their life, whether it's abuse, whether it's, some kind of traumatic incident, right. Whatever it is. And my little sister, had some traumatic things happen, and she ended up getting addicted to some different kinds of medication, and was also diagnosed as schizophrenic and bipolar and manic depressive and all this. So this is why because it's so close to me, and you know, she wasn't military, I was, she wasn't, and 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 I always did whenever I talked to her, I wanted to be there next to her, let her know, hey, you know, and but then she would go on this episode sometimes where it would be there was no reason, there's no reasoning with her in that state. It wasn't her, it was her on in a state of mind that was not listening to reason, and she would be so angry. Like, my mom was having a hard time with her, so I wanted her to come up here and stay with me. I guess my little sister, man. I'll set her straight.
Right.
I'll set her straight. And she came out here, and the first time it had happened, you know, me and you were talking, and let's say she's sitting here, we didn't address her, like, you know, nothing against or for or nothing. She was just here, and then all of a sudden you would look over and steam's coming out of her ears. She's so pissed off, like, and she's angry, like, just, and you know, like, just tapping her foot, or like, you know, clenching her fist in her mouth, and like, you know, Serena, what's the matter? Oh, nothing. And then she'd just be like, bruh, don't talk, you know, and just so pissed off. And there was nothing I could do to talk to her, to try to talk her down. I love you, Serena, you know, that kind of shit. She would do, get away from me, and she'd be pissed off.
Yeah.
And so I'm just wondering, in situations like that, have you ever talked to somebody that is in a state of being that is so aggressive, or that you can't really reason with them? Or is it that when they call, they're already in a state of like, you know what, I'm in a reasonable frame of mind and I need to talk to somebody? Is that more of what you get, or do you ever get that?
Well, I have a family member with that kind of issue. But I haven't, thankfully, I guess, but I haven't had to deal with a veteran that, or a first responder that has been going through that. I guess thankfully, but
Yeah.
I mean, the crisis calls that I have had normally stem from a relationship issue, alcohol or drugs, and then it's escalated to the point where that's it, my time here's done, and then I'll get a phone call, and then I'll shoot out there and try to figure out what's going on. Now, I think me going out there sometimes is risky, because they're already in a moment of rage, alcohol or drug fueled, and it could get, what do I want to say? It could get dangerous. Now, my wife is a therapist, and she'll tell me, you know, by the book type, you know, she'll give me by the book type answers. You need to call the police. You need to do this, and then go. I have a little different thinking on that. By calling the police on a combat veteran who's drunk with a weapon,
Not a good idea.
I kind of think that's a bad idea. I understand her reasoning, you know, and clinical wise, that might be the right thing to do. But I'm going to a home. If I send officers in there to go hard charging, you know, on a combat veteran who has a weapon and drunk already, I, for one, am putting the officers in danger. But for two, I'm kind of setting that veteran or first responder up for failure. I think I'm setting him or her, up to something catastrophic happening. And I think it could be resolved by getting that one-on-one. Look, I'm part of you. Normally when I go in, I do disarm right away, or I gotta go. You know, I'm not going to be part of this that you got going on. But if I do have to leave, then I will definitely call law enforcement. I haven't had to get to that point. Everybody normally will be okay. I'm neutral. I'm a third party. I have nothing to do with the government. I have nothing to do with what you're mad at. Let's just chat. Let's talk. What's on your mind? You know, things don't have to be like this. But what's up? You tell me. And then we try to help go through a plan on getting out of this. You know, I try to help give the tools for you to get yourself out of this. And how can I help?
So with the Brotherhood Bridge Foundation, if somebody wanted to help with that, or they called you and they said, "Hey, I want to volunteer my time," you would walk them through a process in order to get them educated so they could also talk to vets, or what exactly would somebody how would you direct somebody that wanted to help vets with you?
Well, it all depends on what kind of education and experience and knowledge they already have. But depending on that, would determine the direction that I would be able to help guide them. I am in a position to where I can get them trained up to where they want to be, or to where they need to be. What I would like to do is I would like to get other veterans with this same kind of like mind, that want to help vets, that are willing to put in the time, and get them trained up and start their own peer support groups in their areas, and doing it, you know, with the assistance of Brotherhood Bridge Foundation. But and show them how to get things started, because it's confusing getting things started. How do I do it? Who's going to come? How do I advertise? Everybody's lost. What do I do? And how do I do it? Is this going to cost me money? How much time do I got to put in? You know, sometimes you got to put in a lot of time, because this job is very selfless, and you have to be at the need of the veteran or first responder.
Do you have people that are helping you now?
I do. I do. I have a retired police officer who helps me with the peer support part. Um, I have my project manager, my program director, who is out of Oregon. She is the aunt of one of our fallen in Iraq. And she helps with she was in mental health for, I want to say, about 30 years,
Oh wow.
for one. But two, she's very educated and knows the nonprofit sector. So she helps guide me legally. She helps uh, guide me with the social media, because I can't stand social media. Makes me go crazy. I get on there every now and then. Now, um, I was off for 3 years, 4 years maybe. But in this time, if you don't have social media, the advertising and getting your name out there and getting your organization out there, it's almost
Yeah,
impossible.
you're at a disadvantage for sure.
So I had to get back on. So I peek in, every now and then. But she helps me with the social media part of it, um, just so I can keep my mental health tip top. Well, or kind
As
of.
best as it could be.
Right, right. So I'm finally off medications. That took a little while because the withdrawals coming off those meds.
Which ones did you have? I mean, you don't have to say anything you don't want to. I'm just curious as far as like the withdrawal, the addictive nature, if you were on anything
Um,
like that.
let's see. The ones that I felt that really grabbed a hold of me was the Zoloft and the gabapentin.
Yeah.
Those two, uh, I think they got me really good as far as trying to kick them. Uh, but I felt that I was in a good enough position mentally to where it's time to start getting off meds. I was in the community. I was talking to people. I had things going with the foundation. I'm helping other veterans, but still the fog of those medications, the daily fog, the tunnel vision type of thinking. Everything was, in a tunnel. Um, I was done with that. I wanted my mind to be able to expand to where it needed to be, so I could properly help people. Um, and so I want to say it was 2020. I got COVID and I got pretty sick. And maybe it was about a week later, I told my wife, "Hey, I haven't taken pills in a week." She said, "Do I need to order some more?" I said, "No." I said, "No. Uh, Hold on. I haven't taken them because I've been so sick. I'm throwing up even water." So I said, "I think I'm actually becoming successful in kicking these meds." Um, and because of my COVID, I went to the VA, the ER. They put me in the ICU for a couple of days, and um, I realized I haven't been on meds for over a week now. I think I'm good, and so I'm finally off meds. Finally, and I feel so much better. I'm able to really think about others that I'm, you know, assisting.
Yeah. I like how you said the fog. I feel like that's a very descriptive word for when you're taking medication, especially, whether it's a downer, opioid, or um or like I've had somebody very close to me that had to take methadone to get off of the other stuff.
Right.
And the methadone was at least 10 times worse than what they were doing before, why they got onto methadone, right?
Right.
They were taking methadone to get them off of this shit. Then methadone took over and said, "Oh, scoot over. I got something to show you."
Yeah.
You thought you were addicted before. Let me show you this. And then it's like, okay, well, now it's prescribed. So now you got to take it multiple times per day and for X amount of time. And then you try to cut back on that. And it's like, sweet baby Jesus. Like it's, things are going down. There's people getting crazy.
Well, then a lot of times when you start kicking yourself off of these medications, then your doctor or the hospital says, "You know what? I can't help you anymore if you're not going to continue to take these meds." I don't want to take these meds because they're making me feel worse than I felt before. Yeah, well, if you're going to not take these medications, I can't help you. Well, what kind of help is that? Are you really helping? You're putting a band-aid on the problem, and that's not the right thing. Especially coming from the medical field. You know, that's not what we do. We're always there to help. Why is the mental health community any different? If I don't want to take this med, don't make me take this med. Give me another choice. What's my
Yeah.
other choice? What else can I do to not take this med? Because it makes me feel loopy, makes me dizzy, makes me have tunnel vision. And then the fog. The fog feels like just a dark cloud that sits above you. And I'm sure we've all seen those cartoons, where that one little dark cloud follows, the person around and just getting rained on, just that person getting rained on. And that's what it feels like sometimes taking some of those medications.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like clarity, it's like you probably have a deeper sense of clarity once you're off of the medication.
Yes.
Like with life in general.
Just with everything.
Yeah.
With everything. Like you said, life.
Yeah, and then it's hard. Life is already hard. Life is already going to kick you in the nuts. Like,
Right.
no matter what. Like,
Right.
that's the story of life. You're getting kicked in the nuts. You're going to feel pain. You're going to feel trepidation. You're going to feel fear. You're going to feel love, right? You're going to feel good things too. But the purpose of life, I think, is to experience the range of motions, right? because you don't know love really until, I mean, you do, but when you have loss, that sense of love is defined at a greater extent. Like, you love candy because it tastes good, right? But if you can't have anything for a long time and then you get to have a piece of candy, that it's even that much better. So without loss, I feel like there's a teeter totter, and when we have one thing that I've gone down this road of thinking about loss, because unfortunately I've had more than my fair share of loss of people that were very close to me that have forced these thoughts, right? That it's like I gotta think about, I gotta make sense of this, otherwise I'm going to be in a similar spot where I need to call you, right?
Right.
So, and I'm trying to be proactive, and then it's like, well, if you have a loss, you have a deeper sense of appreciation, right? And if you can catch it, right? If you can pull yourself out of the sorrow, because it is quicksand. If you can pull yourself out of the sorrow just long enough to spark a thought of, I'm thankful that this person was here at, for a short amount of time, and I got to experience it with them. It was me that got to, because they were here for that short period of time, and then it's that sense of appreciation. Now you take that to somebody that you love right now, and you can be conscious of that moment being with them, and and then I've gone back and forth, because then it's like, with my kids, and am I not being conscious enough of how much I love them? Am I not spending enough time, and the quality time? And then guilt starts, coming back, and starts ringing on my head, and then I have to, so I have all these little thought gymnastics going on that
Right.
that it's an interesting, but it's helped me to deal with my depression, with my anger, with my all of these unruly emotions that, left unchecked, will send us down, possibly the barrel of a shotgun, or a pistol.
Yeah,
and
I get it.
Yeah. So that's
Can
yeah.
you really appreciate an emotion if you don't know its opposite?
Right.
Can you really appreciate the emotion of love if you don't know the other side, hate? Can you? I don't know if you can. You have to know them both to know what is really good and what is bad.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like the opposite side of the same coin.
Right. And you said at the other end of a barrel. I used to, when I was drinking really hard, I would that's how I would explain my life, is my life was always at the bottom of a bottle, or or the end of a barrel.
Mm.
Because it's either I'm drinking, or I'm thinking about suicide. And yes, I was on these meds at the same time. I was drinking at the same time taking these meds. I was drinking, taking meds, and doing drugs.
Yeah.
So I mean, all those together is not a good combination by any means. Probably taking any of those things singly were not a good thing, but then you add them all three together, it's a recipe for disaster, especially for a veteran, a combat veteran. Um, so I would all my day-to-day life was at the other end of a bottle or a barrel every single day, and that's a scary place to be in.
I feel like you were extremely lucky with your wife that was very patient, and that a lot of people aren't so lucky, and you have, you do things and that which sends away the people that you love, right? And now
Yeah.
not only are you guilty for you doing the things to yourself, but now you're also guilty for what you've done to your family,
Right.
and now you have all the weight of the world and everything on your shoulders, and that is a scary thing. That is a scary thought for me to try to think about that, because I know the thoughts that I've already had and
Uh-huh.
how they've affected me, and I'm extremely lucky because my wife has um, put up with a lot of shit,
Hmm.
right? And she still loves me, and that helps me. It helps me feel like I am good enough, or that that's. And if she wasn't there, man, that would be tough. That would be very tough.
Yeah, like my wife would tell me, during my drinking times, I'm here because I love you. I want you to grow old with me, but doing what you're doing, you're not going to. She would tell me about times she would cry to her mom, um, about, I'm just going to leave this guy. I can't do this, mom. And my wife comes from a very traditional, Mexican family. And her mom would tell her, you need to stick by your man. You need to be there for him. It's got to be scary for him. Stay with him and figure this out. Just be there by his side. And she did, with a lot of prayer and things like that. She tells me about the times that she would pray. She would just get the dogs and come and pray in the living room on her knees. And she would, at times, just before I'd go out to the bar, just sit there and, you really need to find the Lord again.
Later.
Later, I got this. I got this. I was raised in the church. 3, 4, 5 times a week, we'd be there. My great grandfather built the church that I was raised in. So I knew the way I should be living my life, but I just kind of fell, off the wayside a bit. And she said after praying, after having talks with me, figure this out. She said little by little she started seeing little things, and then her last big prayer was help him. And with that, that's when I started getting hospitalized. And if you are a religious person, or if you are a believer, it's things are not the way we want them. When we say, hey, fix this, sometimes we think, you know it's just going to be given to us. Here, there it is, it's fixed. But no, it always has to be a learning moment. It's always got to be something that you can learn from. And in this case, fix him, help him. Good. Put him in the hospital. Maybe he'll learn from that. Nope, didn't work. Put him in the hospital again. Nope, still didn't work. Take his pancreas away.
Wow.
And that was the learning moment right there.
Damn.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you have to do now as far as foods that you can eat or can't eat or anything like that? Or that you have to eat or you can't? Or
Nothing set in stone to where, if I eat this, I'll get sick. Nothing like that. Since then, I try to eat right anyways, just to, help my body, my mind, body, and soul type thing. Just eating right, try to limit the fast foods and try to limit, all the what do you call it? Not manufactured, but the
processed?
processed. Try to limit the processed stuff and eat more greens, eat more things that are going to be beneficial to me. You know, cakes and muffins and all that stuff is great.
Yep.
But
But they come with the price.
comes with a price, and sometimes that cost is pretty hefty. So
Yep.
no, I try to eat right. I do fall here and there, but you know, it's not to the point where I'm binging on some cakes and pastries. You know, I'll have a bite, I'll feel guilty,
Yep.
and won't eat it for another few weeks. So yeah, I just try to live right now. In everything I do. And again, I'm only human, so I don't always do the right thing. But, I'm always trying to do the right thing. That way I can do right by others.
Yeah, I agree. The better that you can get yourself, the more help you can be to others. I think that this has been a good little talk. I wanted you, like I said, to come out here, and then I wanted people to see what you do, and I wanted, if there's any way that I can help, or people that are listening to this and they want to help could reach out to you to offer themselves or volunteer, how would they get a hold of you? Where would they go?
Well, you could go to my website, brotherhoodbridge.org, .org, or we have a Facebook and Instagram. You could just look me up on there, Brotherhood Bridge Foundation, and follow us on social media. If you're not in a position to where you can help physically and you want to give a monetary gift, you can do that on my website. Very much appreciated, because everything that comes to my website goes directly to helping out a veteran or first responder. Again, everything I do is selfless. But if you cannot help physically and you cannot be at our events, it's not a big deal. You can still help by giving a small donation, or even giving a repeating monthly donation, and it'll help other veterans or first responders to get trained to be able to help the rest of our community.
Compound growth, compound healing.
Right, right. Because everything we've done to this point has came out of pocket. So it's getting costly. It's getting costly. So I can really use, some help. And if you would like to come out and help with veterans personally, I encourage you to do so. We do have a peer support group that meets once a week on Thursdays at 1900. That's 7 o'clock, 7 p.m. At the Working Dogs for Warriors location. And that is at 170 North Arrowhead Avenue in Rialto, California, Rialto. So if you have a first responder or a veteran that's wanting to come and just talk to others who have the same like mind with very similar traumas, come on out. We are not therapists. We do not go by the book. We do not. We are 100% anonymous, so nobody will ever know that you came to see this group if you don't tell them. Everything that's said in our group is 100% confidential within the group. I don't take attendance. I don't take notes. It's just a place where you can come and let some steam off. Talk about anything you'd like to talk about, whether it's a bad week at the VA, whether it's a good week you had with your family, whether you just want to come listen. Just come out, check us out, and maybe it's a place that you feel comfortable in talking yourself. What I like to say is, what we say to others does help impact and shape the way others can think. So your situation or your trauma or your good day or bad day, just speaking about it, not only does it help you to heal, but it may help others. It may help someone else. Just by talking about your situation may help someone else. It's kind of like in church. A lot of us have been to church. And when you go to church and the pastor's talking about a scripture and he throws something out and you're thinking, how did he know that I'm going through this? Well, how many others are in there listening to the same thing, thinking the same exact thing? How does he know? It's kind of like that. Just spilling your testimony, talking about your good day, talking about how you got through that bad day can help someone else. And if you don't want to talk, you don't want to talk. You are not forced. It's encouraged always because talking helps us. It'll help us get through our bad times. And that's why I like to say it takes a village. We're all together in this. And you do have others that are willing to help you out and walk the walk with you.
Yeah, I think you like read my mind because I was gonna say, what would you have to say to anybody out there? And this has been great because I just have been sitting here listening to you, and everything that you've said registers. And I think that there are there's a special place, and there's a big need for people that do what you do, that have a big heart, that are actually out trying to help others, and using what they know in order to do that. And it's just refreshing because there are a lot of people out there that are not so selfless, that are not so caring about anybody else. So I think it's great, and I think it's cool that you brought Sly over here. So does he do like normal tricks, like sit and or is it?
He does all that.
So what's different, before we bring this to a close? Because I know there are a lot of people that would want to that love Sly. Like, he steals the show wherever he goes. So
Sit.
is it how different is it than a normal dog? I mean, you told me the things that he does, which I think is cool, but from a companionship, like hanging out, or
he's just my all-around buddy. I'll tell you, there's times when I take off to the store and I just think to myself, I'll just go by myself. And I'm driving down the street and I feel so guilty. I'm just going to the store to go grab me a coffee or something. And I feel so guilty that I turn around and I go get him just to go get some gas or get some coffee and come home. So he's become a lifeline, I guess. Because he's really helped me to live again. I didn't have the feeling to live. I didn't know what I wanted, before we talked about the whole getting a service dog. And I didn't know what was next. I didn't even know if I wanted to live, because I had stopped drinking. I had stopped doing drugs. But what was next? I had no clue. Everything was still very dark. But after getting him, he's kind of lit my path. And he kind of does for me what I help others do. So he walks the walk with me. He's my ear when I need someone to listen to me. I don't even know if he understands me sometimes, but I talk to him. And I don't know if that's crazy, so please don't tell my psych.
Yeah, that's crazy. You got to be crazy in order to be sane, though.
I guess so. And it goes back to what I was saying. Can you really appreciate this if you have not felt its opposite?
Good point.
It's the whole yin and yang.
Mm-hmm. Order and disorder, and love and hate, and male and female. You got all kinds of different, but it's that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah, really, we could go for another hour or two.
But no, that's cool, man. I'm glad that you came, and then maybe you can come back again, and maybe we can do maybe a deeper dive on a particular subject
Yeah.
like PTSD, because I know there are a lot of people out there that have suffered from PTSD, first responders and vets, and even normal people that have been in traumatic experiences, you know.
True.
So I think that is an important topic that a lot of people I think would be able to glean some kind of insight from, and and I think if we have a more time, to get into that, I think that would be a pretty cool thing. So maybe at some point you can come back and
Yeah, definitely.
do something. But either way, I think this has been a great little talk. Do you have anything else that you'd like to throw out there? Or
No, thank you for bringing me out. It's much appreciated. Like I said, I've been working, really hard this past year. So by doing this show, it kind of lets me know, like, you're on the right track of doing something, that the people can see and hear.
I think if you do the right thing for the right reason, the universe will get your back, and it will put the right
Yes.
people in the right place at
Yes.
the right time for you.
And that's what I've felt, actually, since I became sober, and I started to do things, you know, not so much for myself, but doing them for others. Things come, and how that comes, I don't know, but if you're doing things righteously, uh, like you said, the universe has your back, um, and you know the universe is going to make it happen the way it needs to happen, as long as you're doing things for the right reasons. You start doing bad stuff or doing things for the wrong reasons, it's going to get taken from you somehow.
Yep. It will come back and slap your face.
Yeah. See, and that's why I try to live right and do the right things. Yeah, I get it.
I'm right there with you, man. I'm doing the same thing. I'm trying to do that too, because I have been slapped in the face. I have,
Same.
and so it's like, no, I don't like that. Let's do the right things, the right reason, be a good person, be sincere, actually be who you say and do what you say and say what you do. And, and I've experienced by doing that, people have come into my path. Miracles have happened. Things have happened to me that I thank God for. Whether somebody believes or they don't believe, that's on them. I don't judge. I don't care. I mean, hopefully it's good and they found whatever floats their boat. But for me, there have been some coincidences that it's just like, man, they're like, I believe in God. I believe that there's, again, that's probably another whole conversation, but I'm very thankful, and it makes me feel good to be able to say thank you, God, for Eddie being here today, or thank you, God, for the food because it was so good.
Yeah. Yeah.
How much of a bummer would that be if you tasted like the best steak that you ever had and you couldn't say thank you, God? Like, that'd be a real bummer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But either way, thank you again for coming. And for anybody out there listening, if you're going through a hard situation in life, or you have gotten slapped in the face and you're experiencing that, I feel like Eddie is a perfect example of what you can do in order to help yourself. I feel like the best way to help yourself is to help somebody else. And I think most of the volunteers, most of people that are out there helping, they understand that. And so if you're hurting in life in a particular area, I would recommend you go out and see where you can contribute your time, thoughts, money, and make a difference, because what you do does make a difference. What I do does make a difference. And as long as you understand that and you do the right things for the right reasons, you're going to make it, and you're going to make it for others. And so the whole idea of move is make a difference for other people, is offer up your time, talents, and gifts, is to find victory in the small things. And that just really means being sensitive to appreciation. Appreciate the little victories. And then E is encourage others. And so you're a perfect example of move. And if anybody is out there, you can think of something, well, then move and go do it. So until the next time, I appreciate your time, and hasta la vista, baby.